Have you ever considered the most curious and delightful paradox of our existence? It is this. We spend our days trying to capture in words that which has no form. We attempt to share the scent of a phantom blossom, and then we wonder why no one else can sense its perfume. But awakening, you see, this inner unfolding, is not a concept to be learned. It is an event, like a seed, that silently breaks its shell in the stillness. It asks for no argument, no convincing, and it offers no proof. It simply ripens. And here lies the grand illusion. To think that you can awaken another by painting a picture of your own sunrise. It is not possible. You can whisper tales of the mountain peak, but until their own feet have walked the path, they will never breathe its thin, clear air. You may describe the vast, rolling ocean to one who knows only desert sands. But in his mind he will still feel the grit of sand. Some truths, you see, cannot be handed over. They must blossom from within the listener's own silence. There are depths, certain currents that are best left unspoken to those still dreaming their deep dream. This is not a matter of worthiness, but simply a matter of timing. A fruit does not fall from the branch until it is perfectly ripe. To speak of these things, before the season is right, is to plant a seed in the frozen earth of winter. And the first of these silent truths concerns this very thing you call I. For most, this sense of I is the very center of the cosmos, the fixed point around which all of life revolves. In the morning, the thought arises, I am here. In the night's dream, the echo sounds, I was there. And so the story weaves itself, day after day. This story provides a sense of substance, of being in control. And yet, for the one who looks, this I begins to feel rather transparent, like mist touched by the morning sun. The more you try to hold it, the more it slips away. For it was never a thing at all, but a pattern, a wonderful, dancing pattern, like a whirlpool in a flowing river. There is a form, a motion, but no separate thing to be found. The water flowing through is ever-changing. And still, the form of the whirlpool persists. Now, if you share this with one who is convinced they are the author of their story, they will feel a deep and profound fear. They will clench their fist even tighter around this idea of me, defending it as if their very life depended on it. And in their dream, it does. And so, you let them be. So let the dance unfold. Allow the fighting, the winning, the losing, the loving, and the suffering. For the dream must be dreamt completely before the dreamer awakens to the nature of the dream. Only when the game of being a separate self has played itself out does the player begin to wonder if he was ever truly separate from the very ground of the play. And in that quiet moment of seeing, a gentle smile arises. Ah, it whispers, so this was the music all along. You cannot force this awakening any more than you can command a seed to blossom before its time. It unfolds in its own season. And this leads us to another secret, one best left unspoken until the right moment. You see, most of us live under the grand illusion that we are in command, that this great flowing process of life is a machine, and we are the engineers at the controls. And so they scheme and they struggle, trying to bend the river of existence to their private desires. But while they may arrange the pebbles on the shore, the vast ocean tide pays them no mind. You can furiously row upstream, but the river simply continues its journey to the sea. You can shout your orders to the clouds, but the wind continues its own silent song. Yet, if you reveal this to one who is still convinced of his own steering, he will fall into despair, for he imagines that without a master, there can be no meaning. He doesn't yet see that to let go of the oars is not to drown, but to finally learn how to float. Because you see, the current isn't carrying you against your will. You are the current. This illusion of control is simply the illusion of being separate, as though a single wave could command the entire ocean. While the dreamer sleeps, he must try to manage the dream, to direct and fix and guard and win. But in time, the effort becomes exhausting. The arms grow weary, the plans dissolve, the strength fades, and in that deep surrender of exhaustion, a quiet truth begins to dawn. He feels himself being carried effortlessly, and for the very first time, he understands that the river was never his adversary. He sees that the flow was never a thing to be conquered, but a presence to be trusted. And this is why the secret cannot be told too soon. He must first taste the bitter fruit of his own resistance. Only when the struggle has worn him transparent can the light of this understanding shine through. Then there is one final secret, one that touches upon the deepest silence of all: the great mystery of death. Most people live as if it were the final enemy at the gate. They see it as a dark curtain falling at the end of the performance, beyond which lies only emptiness. And so they frantically decorate the stage, clinging to their roles in the play, gripped by a fear of the moment the stage lights begin to fade. Yet what they fail to perceive is that this final breath is not the adversary of life, any more than the crest of a wave is the opposite of its trough. They are two movements of a single rhythm. For you see, one cannot exist without its counterpart. Without the silence of the night, there could be no song of the day. And so it is that without this great release, there could be no grand arrival. But to whisper this truth to one who is still convinced he is merely his form is to see him recoil in fear. He will hear only a cold dismissal of his sorrow. Yet for the one who has glimpsed beyond the fleeting illusion of a separate self, it is simply another graceful turn in the eternal dance. It is not a fortress to be stormed, but a current to be surrendered to. For you see, life does not come into the world. It blossoms out of it, just as leaves emerge from a tree, and what we call death is merely the gentle falling of those leaves, returning to nourish the very soil from which the tree may flourish once more. To the mind still dreaming, it is a separate thing. This truth feels like a cold wind, stealing away its sense of security, its cherished illusion of I standing apart from that. And so, you must not rush to tell them. Allow them the drama of their fear for a time. Let them construct their fortresses against the inevitable tide. Let them long for an endless day, for this very resistance is a part of the great, slow turning toward the dawn. And then, one day, after the heart has been filled and emptied and filled again, and has witnessed enough seasons turn to fill 100 lifetimes, a quiet space will open, and they will see there was never a final ending at all. Only the changing of the tide, only the ceaseless blossoming of the one magnificent mystery. And this brings us to a wonderful paradox in the so-called spiritual game. You see, everyone, at some point, decides to embark on the grand quest for the ultimate answer, to uncover the hidden secret, to climb the highest peak, to finally become enlightened. And they are quite convinced that this prize lies somewhere out there, perhaps hidden in the pages of an ancient text, or in a silent mountain cave, or reflected in the gaze of a wise master. And so, the great struggle begins. They practice and they discipline. They chant, they sit in silence, and they wait for the great revelation. But you see, the very act of searching for it is what obscures it from view. The seeker, in his earnest quest, is the source of his own bewilderment. It is as futile as an eye trying to see itself directly, without the help of a mirror or a flame attempting to burn itself. Now, if you were to explain this to someone still deep in the throes of his search, he would feel that you have stolen something precious, for his quest has become his temple. It is the very thing that gives his journey its purpose, the melody he hums as he crosses the vast, empty desert. And you must not, you cannot take that song away from him, for it is the path itself, carrying him home, though he is not yet aware of it. So, by all means, let him seek. Let him dance with doubt and devotion, stumbling and rising in turn. For in every movement, even in his wandering, he draws nearer to the great realization that the destination was always here. The way under his feet is the place he seeks. The very act of searching is the treasure he hopes to find. And so it goes until the seeker's spirit grows tired, having scaled every imagined peak and peeked behind every veil, he at last settles, not in defeat, but in a profound and listening silence. And within that quietude, the cosmic jest unfolds with a silent laugh. The awareness he sought was the very awareness with which he was seeking. The entire ocean was dreaming in the single drop, and the drop was, and always is, the ocean. But to speak this truth too early is to cast a pearl before it is wanted. His clever mind will weave arguments, for it cannot grasp how the prize could be the running of the race itself. The little self, the ego, is still clamoring to be the victor, yearning for a golden trophy called enlightenment. And so you simply smile and allow the running to continue, knowing the track is a perfect circle, ending precisely where it started. Now, there is another secret best kept for a while. It concerns this game of what we call good and what we call evil. You see, the thinking mind is a master of division. It adores its neat boxes, its polarities, light and shadow, the sacred and the profane, the right and the wrong. Without these maps, it feels adrift on an endless sea. Our very societies are constructed on this foundation of opposites, for it gives a comforting sense of structure, a feeling of morality, a sense of being in control. But when you begin to look with softer eyes, you see that the poles are not at war. They are like the two hands of a single being, each giving meaning and texture to the other. There is no up without a down, no front without a back, no saint without the possibility of the sinner. Try to feel a world of pure light with no shade to give it form, and you will find a blinding void, a featureless, empty expanse. So to tell someone who hasn't seen this, that good and evil are simply two steps in the same cosmic dance is to invite a storm of misunderstanding. They will believe you are making excuses for suffering, that you are blurring the lines of virtue. But that is not the point at all. You are merely noticing that the grand drama of existence requires both light and shadow to be a play. The antagonist is as essential to the tale as the protagonist. The wildness of the storm makes the silence of the calm so sweet. The one who sees this clearly does not curse the darkness for being dark. He perceives that all things emerge together. Joy is known because of sorrow. Order is born from chaos, and strength is discovered through temptation. To one still lost in the game, this perspective seems a dangerous one. But those who have woken from the dream understand that to see the whole pattern does not make one unkind. This understanding blossoms into a profound compassion, for when you begin to see that even those who cause mischief are but actors in the grand cosmic play, you can no longer hold on to the illusion of hatred. You may act, yes, but you do not despise. You come to realize that all things, even the sharp edges of pain, are simply notes in the same great symphony. This is why such truths cannot be hurried. They must be discovered, arising from within, like the silent unfolding of a lotus. You cannot pry the petals open with force. You can only wait, with a gentle stillness, patiently, and allow the light to do its work. For you see, most people are not yet weary of their dreams. They are still enchanted by their stories of separateness, by their grand battles between light and shadow. And that, of course, is perfectly fine. For the great play of awakening must always begin in a state of not knowing, just as the dawn must emerge from the deepest part of the night. The purpose of this dance is not to escape it, but to flow with it, to be lost, to be found, to forget and then to remember. You cannot truly savor waking up without first having been soundly asleep. You cannot cherish the light without having wandered through the cool of the shadow. And so, when you find you hold an insight that others do not yet see, do not rush to offer it. Hold it softly, like a quiet flame. Let it warm your own being. Let it illuminate your own path. And if others are drawn to this gentle light, they will approach. They will ask in their own time. Then you may speak, not to convince, but to be a mirror for what is already stirring within them. For awakening is not something that is taught. It is something that is caught, like a resonance. One candle lights another, not by explanation, but by its simple, unwavering presence. Now, the real art of living among those still dreaming is not to be a startling alarm clock, but to let them dream their beautiful dreams until they begin to stir on their own. It is the art of being quietly awake in the gentle company of dreamers. You do not need to shout your truth from the rooftops. The sun does not announce its arrival, and yet everything it touches begins to glow. So often, when people first glimpse a deeper reality, they feel an immense urge to share it. They run to their friends, their family, and they declare, "I have finally found it. I have seen the truth." And of course, no one quite hears what they are saying. They smile politely, or they laugh, or they simply turn away. And this poor soul feels utterly alone, misunderstood. A profound loneliness. Yet they miss the secret. Truth is not a thing one gives away. It is a current that is felt only when the waters of the mind are still. So the one who is awake learns a new language, a silent music. He drifts through the world like a gentle breeze, a quiet harmony in the great symphony. And others feel this music, though they cannot name the tune. This stillness can stir the restless waters of another's mind, soothe the aching heart, and beckon the curious soul. This, you see, is how one teaches without a single lesson, by becoming the very thing that words can only point to. And in this profound quiet, there is no hiding, no holding back. You are honoring the unique rhythm of every other dance. You are simply allowing each soul to blossom in its own time. For the teacher who pries open the bud will only find a broken flower. But the one who is simply the warmth of the sun allows it to unfold in perfect grace. A tremendous wisdom resides in this restraint, in knowing when the most profound action is no action at all. Consider that words are like pebbles tossed into a placid lake. Once they are released, their ripples travel outward and can never be undone. The wise one, then, lets the water remain a mirror. But do not mistake this stillness for indifference. It is not a cold distance, but rather the warmest and most spacious compassion. It is the deep knowing that every being is on a journey to awaken in its own way, in its own time, through the unfolding of its own life. After all, you do not shake a child to wake it from a dream. You allow the soft morning light to enter the room. And the world, as you now perceive it, is a vast dreamscape, full of souls playing out their roles. Some dream they are powerful, others that they are in love, some are lost in fear, some in sorrow. They clash and they create, they build and they tear down. And through it all, the great music of existence plays on, magnificently. You have no need to fix this dream. You have no need to wake the dreamers. For their dreaming is a perfect note in the whole song. To be awake is not to stand on a distant mountain, but to learn the steps of the dance down in the marketplace. To laugh with a gentle heart, to play your part, all the while knowing it is a mask worn by the one true face. You can converse with the king and the pauper, the saint and the scoundrel, and see only reflections. For in every pair of eyes you recognize your own self looking back. And so, how could you possibly hate? How could you judge or draw a line in the sand? This is why the one who truly sees has nothing to announce. He walks upon the earth as if on water. He loves as easily as he breathes. He listens to the silence between the words. He feels no urge to persuade, for he understands that every soul, in its own meandering way, is already walking the path back to the very same ocean. Some journeys meander like a winding river, others flow directly, yet all paths return to the one great ocean. And what is this ocean? It is the profound stillness from which every wave of existence emerges. It is the silence that cradles all music, the emptiness that gives shape to every form. It is the gentle pause between each beat of your heart. Here is your true home, not within the chatter of your thoughts, nor the temporary vessel of your body, but in the vast, silent awareness that mirrors it all. This simple truth cannot be spoken to one who is not yet listening, not because it is a secret, but because it is so profoundly simple. The restless mind seeks intricate puzzles to solve, a distant shore, a treasure that is difficult to find. It cannot grasp that the very thing it searches for is present in the searching itself. And so, you see, the most profound teaching is silence, not an empty, forced quiet, but a listening silence, full of knowing, a silence that holds a gentle smile. It is a silence that dances with the current of life, never attempting to hold the water in its hands. When you reside in that deep quiet, your very existence becomes the lesson. Each movement, each breath, each fleeting glance speaks volumes without uttering a single word. Others will sense this quality in you. For some, it will be a disquieting mirror. For others, it will be a gentle invitation. And a few may begin to awaken, though you may never be aware of your part in their dream. And this is all that is asked. You are not here to rescue the world, but to realize it was never lost. This magnificent cosmos is not a riddle waiting to be solved, but a symphony to be experienced. And when you cease trying to conduct it, you finally begin to hear its true melody, soft, eternal, and profoundly beautiful. So, hold this gently in your awareness. There are truths best left unspoken to those still dreaming their separate dreams. Not because these things are secrets, but because words cannot carry their weight. The true nature of the self, the dream of being in control, the great mystery of transformation, the game of chasing your own tail, and the playful dance of light and shadow. These are not lessons to be learned, but realizations that dawn. They arrive when the inner season is right, and not a moment sooner. Until then, let your words be soft and your life uncluttered. Simply tend to the small, warm flame of awareness within. Let it be a quiet glow. Those whose eyes are ready for the light will see it, and those who are not will, in their own time. For every single thing in this wondrous, playful universe is unfolding perfectly in its own season. And when the great play has run its course, when every character has dreamed its final dream, the entire stage dissolves back into silence. And that silence, you see, simply smiles.